Okay, today we're going to do a float bowl adjustment for the Maxair Predator Pro kit on the V-Star 1100 carburetors. This is a set of extra carbs we have laying around, so ignore the dust and any missing parts. My name is Lee Southerberg, also known as Max, President of Maxair Engineering. The first thing that we'll do is remove the float bowl. Now I've already pulled the screws out of here, but there's usually 4 screws. And you just pull this bowl off, being very careful of the float. This here would be your float. And to get proper performance and especially fuel mileage out of our Predator Pro, this is a very important adjustment. It must be done with our kit, and it's very simple. The point we're going to measure from, there's 3 points. If you tip this carburetor all the way down, that's 1 point. And then as you start to roll it up, the floats will settle in to yet another point. And then as you flip it all the way upside down, unfortunately I'm out of the screen there, it goes to a final point. The point we want to go to is that middle point right there, not the all the way upside down point. So to take our measurement, we take a Vernier Caliper, preferably a metric one. I'm sure you've all seen one of these. It this particular one has a depth gauge. So we'll use this depth gauge, and don't use one without that. You can use a standard one if you get a proper conversion. That's no problem, but do not use a Vernier Caliper that doesn't have a depth gauge. You just won't get the accurate measurement that you need. Okay, so the point we want to take our measurement from is right here on the pontoon. You see a slight curve in the pontoon. We want to hit right on the center, the highest point or the lowest point as it is sitting on the bike. Everything's opposite when you measure on float carbs, float measurements on carburetors. This is our other point that we'll be measuring to, the center of the seam. So to get our initial measurement, see how much we need to move this, we will tip to our middle point, not upside down. Remember, there's going to be one more point, and I recommend not pushing on this, but I'm going to do it for demonstration. There'll be one more point. You don't want to go to that point. You want to go to the midpoint, and then take your caliper and slide it down till it almost, I like to leave a little bit of room so I don't knock the measurement out. So I'm not actually touching the pontoon. And that's a little more than 12, so we'll say it's most likely, with a little bit of light I left there, 12 millimeters. The trick is, as you can see, I actually did push that a little. So the trick is to take your measurement without pushing. Okay, so now in order to adjust this float, we want to bring it from 12 out to 14, which means we're going to make this distance here longer. We'll bend this tab up in here. This is a very simple procedure, but you want to be delicate and take your time here, but it will be very quick and simple. We'll just take our screwdriver and wedge it in here and pry down on this tab and try to expand this measurement by prying down on the tab. Now we'll remeasure. We've set our caliper at 14, just a little more than 14, to allow for a small gap so that we don't touch the pontoon when we're measuring. And we'll tip it back to the second point, and we'll notice that we're right at 14 with a little bit of a gap showing in between there. So that's our measurement. It's that simple. If you go too far, then you'll put the screwdriver in here and just pry up on this tab a little bit. Do small measurements at a time. Take your time until you get it right. It may take a couple measurements. You may want to walk away for a minute if you're having any trouble with it, but it really should be a very quick and simple thing to do. Put your float bowl back on, being very careful of the float. Put your screws back in, and do not over tighten them. Tighten them to the factory specs. And it's that simple. You're done.